These two sisters grew up dreaming of a better life, hoping that one day they could escape their harsh reality. But when a foreign man arrives offering to adopt one of them, everything begins to change. What starts as a promise of hope soon turns into a heartbreaking secret that will tear their family apart. Let's begin. The story begins with a young girl named Soon Young, a hard-working, gentle soul who carries the weight of her family on her small shoulders. At just 10 years old, she spends her days selling accessories by the beach, scrubbing floors, and taking care of her mentally disabled father and younger sister. Her little sister, Soon Ja, is frail and sickly, but spends her time admiring pretty dresses and putting on makeup, lost in her own little world. Despite it all, Soon Young never complains. To her, happiness simply means seeing her family smile, even if she's the one keeping them afloat. Meanwhile, a man named Mang Taek waits at the airport, sweating with excitement. He's there to welcome an American man, Steve, and his daughter Barbie. As they drive along the seaside road, the car suddenly stalls. Mang Taek curses under his breath, trying to restart it, but it won't budge. He leads the Americans to his guest house while he calls for help. Meanwhile, Soon Young and her dad are having lunch. Without warning, Mang Taek bursts through the door and he orders Soon Young to greet the foreigners and to call Steve her father. Confused and frightened, the girl freezes. It turns out Steve has come all the way from America to adopt Soon Young. Mang Taek, her greedy uncle, has arranged everything behind her back, a deal that could make him rich. Soon after, Mang Taek demands Soon Young to clean the dusty guest house where Steve and Barbie will stay until their car is fixed. Later, Barbie wanders along the beach, her golden curls glimmering under the sun. A group of local boys spot her and surround her, mocking and tugging at her hair, their curiosity turning cruel. Just then, a stone flies through the air. It's Soon Young, standing behind with her slingshot. She yells for Barbie to follow her, and Soon Young takes Barbie to a balcony overlooking the ocean. Though they don't share a language, the two girls smile, understanding each other without words. When the car is finally repaired, Mang Taek drives Steve and Barbie to their seaside hotel. Back home, Soon Ja sits by the window with a broken cassette player, practicing English phrases. Her dream is to go to America, to live a glamorous life far away from poverty. That night, Mang Taek prepares the adoption papers. He places them in front of his older brother, Soon Young's father, and urges him to sign. The man hesitates, his eyes clouded with confusion and fear. So Mang Taek pulls out a sausage stick and waves it like a bribe to make him sign the papers. To Mang Taek, it's just business, a deal that will finally make him rich. But for Soon Young and her dad, it's the beginning of a deal that will change all their lives forever. That night, the two sisters sit together under the dim light of their old lamp. Soon Ja looks up from her mirror and asks quietly, "Do you know why those foreigners came to visit us?" Soon Young hesitates before answering. She says she isn't exactly sure, but she heard that the man, Steve, plans to take her to America. Soon Ja's expression changes instantly. Her eyes fill with envy. "What about me?" she asks sharply. Soon Young shakes her head and assures her little sister that she won't be going anywhere as she wants to stay behind to care for her and their father. But Soon Ja turns cold and says she wants to go instead. Soon Young stares at her in shock. "But our family is here." But Soon Ja spits out the words that break her sister's heart. "I hate this family." The silence that follows is heavy. Then Soon Ja, driven by jealousy, demands that she tell their uncle to send her instead. That night, Soon Young goes to see Mang Taek. She asks him quietly, "Why do I have to go to America?" Mang Taek barely looks at her. He simply says there isn't enough money to feed everyone, so someone has to go. Soon Young shakes her head, refusing to leave her family behind. But Mang Taek coldly tells her that she will be leaving in a week. Finally, she says, "If one of us must go, let Soon Ja go. It's her dream to live in America. Let her be happy there." Mang Taek laughs bitterly. "She can't go," he says. "Her body's too weak." The next morning, Soon Ja has woken up early, carrying a tray of breakfast to her uncle's room, trying to win his favor. She smiles brightly and says she made it just for him. But Mang Taek knows her intentions and tells her coldly, "You're not going to America. You fall sick too easily." Soon Ja's smile fades. Frustrated, she lashes out, shoving the tray away. Later that day, the sisters walk to school together. Soon Young carries both their bags as usual, the weight pressing down on her small frame. In class, Soon Ja doesn't even pretend to pay attention. Her eyes are fixed on an English book. She repeats foreign words under her breath again and again, as if those words open the door to another life. Later that day, Barbie wanders along the quiet seaside. There, she spots a familiar face, Soon Young, walking along the beach selling trinkets. Barbie smiles brightly and picks one up. She decides to buy it and pulls out a $100 bill and asks for change. But as Soon Young is unsure of the exchange rate, she does not hand her any. Just then Steve appears and tells Barbie they need to leave at once. But when he notices Soon Young, his expression hardens. No smile, no warmth, just cold silence. Back home, Soon Young prepares lunch for her father and sister. As they eat, Soon Ja suddenly notices the foreign bill inside Soon Young's belongings. Her eyes widen. "Where did you get this?" she demands. Soon Young explains honestly that Barbie gave it to her for the trinket she sold. Soon Ja's voice rises in disbelief. "This is $100. That's over 100,000 won." Soon Young freezes, explaining she had no idea. But instead of explaining further, Soon Ja glares at her. "You scammed her," she says coldly. Soon Young tells her that she will return the money, but Soon Ja cuts her off. "I'll return it for you." She grabs the bill and rushes out, but instead of returning the money, she makes her way straight to a money changer. As she walks down the street, she spots a makeup store and purchases a lipstick. Then she sees a beautiful dress hanging in a sales rack and decides to purchase it too. The next day, Mang Taek takes Soon Young to the photo studio to take a photograph for her passport. Her father steps in, trying to stop them, but Mang Taek's temper explodes. He kicks his brother to the ground and drags Soon Young out by the arm. She cries silently as she's pulled away, powerless to resist. At the photo studio, she sits in front of the camera. The photographer asks her to smile, but she doesn't. As they leave, Soon Young spots them from across the street. That night, Soon Ja finally puts on her new dress and makeup. When she steps out, her family can't believe their eyes. Both her father and sister smile brightly and say she looks beautiful. For a brief moment, the air is light again. The three of them dance together, laughing and twirling happily. At the hotel, Barbie finally asks the question that's been bothering her. "Dad, why are you adopting another child? You already have 2 daughters. Soon Young has a father who loves her. Isn't it sad to separate them?" Steve exhales slowly and says, "I'm doing it for her own good. She'll have a better life with us." Barbie studies his face quietly, sensing something cold beneath his calmness, but she says nothing more. Meanwhile, at the guest house, Soon Young is watching over the place. Then one of the guests orders Soon Young to fetch him more drinks, but when she refuses, the man grabs her by the arm. Before the man can carry her away, her father suddenly bursts into the room. Despite his mental struggles, he swings a pan at the man, knocking him to the ground, and quickly carries Soon Young home. He may not fully understand the world, but he understands love, and he will protect his daughters with his life. The next morning, Barbie and Steve sit together at a cafe when she notices a familiar figure. Soon Young is there, selling her handmade trinkets. Excited, Barbie rushes over to greet her. Soon Young bows quickly and apologizes for the money she received earlier, trying to explain with broken words and gestures that she didn't know how valuable the note was, and asks if Soon Ja returned the money to her. Barbie smiles, though she does not understand her words. When Barbie asks her dad if Soon Young can have lunch with them, his voice hardens. "No, stay away from her." Barbie frowns, unable to understand his coldness. "But you're adopting her. Why can't I hang out with her?" He doesn't answer. He just glares at her and demands she listen to him. Later that day, Steve tells her that he's heading out for a drink. Once he's gone, Barbie sneaks out of the hotel. Eventually, she spots Soon Young again, standing outside a seafood restaurant, selling her trinkets with the same bright smile. Barbie approaches her and gestures for her to have dinner together. The two end up sitting together at a local Korean barbecue shop. Even though they don't share a language, their laughter bridges the gap between them. When the meal ends, Soon Young looks at the leftover meat, wanting to bring it home for Soon Ja. Then Barbie notices the small locket hanging around Soon Young's neck. She gestures toward it, and Soon Young opens it slowly, revealing a tiny photo of her late mother. Through broken Korean and soft gestures, she explains that her mother passed away in a car accident last year, and since then, her family has moved to the seaside. Barbie listens quietly, her eyes glistening with sympathy. After dinner, the two head to a nearby photo booth. The two take silly pictures together, laughing between flashes. Back at the hotel, Barbie takes out the dresses she just bought. Soon Young tries it on and excitedly exclaims that it is beautiful, and Barbie tells her, "Keep it if you like it." They end up taking a bubble bath together, splashing each other and laughing like sisters. But just as the room fills with warmth and joy, Steve suddenly returns. Then Barbie tells her father, "Dad, I just wanted her to stay with me tonight." But Steve cuts her off sharply. "No, she's going home." Within minutes, Steve escorts Soon Young home. When she finally returns home, Soon Ja stares at her sister with jealousy as she sees Steve sending Soon Young home. Soon Young smiles brightly and hands her the leftover meat. "I brought this for you," but Soon Ja slaps the container away. "I don't eat leftovers," she says coldly. Her eyes burn with resentment. "You promised you wouldn't go to America. Then why are you spending time with him?" Soon-young apologizes and tries to explain the situation. The next morning, when Soon-ja discovers the photo booth pictures of Barbie and Soon-young, she crumples them and throws them to the floor. Fueled by desperation, she comes up with a plan. Soon-ja rushes to the local photo studio and tells the photographer she's there to collect Soon-young's passport pictures, intending to ruin it so that Soon-young's passport cannot be made. Then, she dresses neatly and makes her way to the hotel. When she arrives, she sees Steve and Barbie. She greets them politely and asks if she can spend the day with them. The three of them head to the beach. Soon-ja tries hard to please Steve, constantly pouring him drinks and serving him. But her attempts only make Barbie uncomfortable. Watching her act overly polite and eager, Barbie's dislike for her grows. In her eyes, Soon-ja seems manipulative, too calculating, nothing like the kind and innocent Soon-young she had grown fond of. The next morning, Soon-young goes to school alone as Soon-ja is ill. During class, she continues stringing together trinkets to sell later. Her teacher scolds her for not paying attention, but she only lowers her head, whispering an apology. Just then, Barbie walks into her school. The children gasp and gather around her, fascinated by the foreign girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Barbie waves at Soon-young and joins her at the piano. Together, they start playing simple melodies, laughing as they go off-key. For a while, it feels like the two girls are in their own little world. But when Steve arrives and sees the girls growing so fond of each other, he heads to look for Mang-taek. In a tense conversation, Steve tells Mang-taek that he's changed his mind. He no longer wants to take Soon-young to America. He wants to take Soon-ja instead. Barbie is getting too close to Soon-young, he mutters. It'll be easier if we take Soon-ja. Mang-taek looks uneasy. Soon-ja isn't healthy, he reminds him. She gets sick all the time. But Steve waves off his concern coldly. Then we'll do a medical checkup. If she's fine, she'll go. Later that afternoon, Steve, Barbie, and Soon-young head for lunch at a small restaurant. Then Steve breaks the news to them. We've decided to take your sister to America instead, he says calmly. You should stay here and take care of your father. Barbie looks stunned. But I like Soon-young more, she protests softly. Soon after, Mang-taek and Soon-ja arrive at the restaurant. Barbie turns to Soon-young, trying to convince her. Come with us, she pleads. But before Soon-young can answer, Soon-ja steps in. Tell her you can't go. Then she adds, I want to go to America instead. Barbie stares at her in disbelief and says, I hate you. Soon-ja doesn't flinch. She looks straight at Barbie and replies, I hate you too. I don't care what you think, only what your father thinks. Across the table, Soon-young sits silently, unsure of what to do. That night, Soon-ja asks her sister if she did anything to make Barbie hate her, but Soon-young shakes her head. Then Soon-ja warns her coldly that no matter what happens, she's the one going to America. Soon-young tries to persuade her not to go, but Soon-ja snaps, saying she doesn't want to be stuck in this miserable place forever. Later that night, Mang-taek visits his brother to tell him that Soon-ja will be the one going instead. Her father doesn't fully understand the meaning behind those words, but something inside him senses danger. He grabs Mang-taek by the collar, his face filled with silent rage and confusion. Soon-young overhears the argument from her room, her heart heavy as she realizes their family is about to be torn apart. That night, she watches her sister shivering beside her and gently wraps her arms around her, whispering, Don't get sick when you go there. The next morning, Steve heads to the clinic to collect Soon-ja's medical report. He is delighted to find that Soon-ja is just physically weak but free of any congenital disease. Hearing this, he calls his other daughter Sue and tells her, I've found your heart donor. At that moment, Barbie walks in and overhears everything. She freezes as the truth hits her. Her father didn't come to Korea out of kindness. He came to find a living heart donor for Sue. To him, the adopted daughter was only a vessel for his sick child. Suddenly, Steve's coldness toward Soon-young makes sense. He never wanted Barbie to bond with the girl he intended to sacrifice, and when Barbie got too close, he swapped Soon-young for Soon-ja to spare her from the cruel truth. Meanwhile, Soon-ja admires her new passport, her face glowing with excitement. Mang-taek, trying to ease his guilt, tells her softly, Remember, this was your choice. Don't blame me later. Soon-ja thanks him sincerely, saying she's grateful for his kindness and the chance to go to America. Seeing her innocence, Mang-taek's heart sinks. He takes her to a phone shop and buys her a new cell phone as a farewell gift. As guilt finally overwhelms Mang-taek, he meets Steve again and asks, Will she die after you take her heart? Steve doesn't deny it. Mang-taek's face turns pale, realizing the weight of his sin, but it's already too late. When Barbie learns everything, she bursts into tears and confronts her father. We can't do this. This is murder. But Steve looks at her sternly and says, This is the only way to save your sister. Barbie runs to the rooftop, clutching Soon-ja's passport. Her heart is torn between doing what's right and saving her sister, but when she hears Sue's weak voice echoing in her mind, her resolve breaks. That night, she chooses silence over justice. The day before her departure, Soon-ja helps her father shave one last time. When she's done, she quietly opens her piggy bank, taking out all the money she has saved over the years. With it, she brings her father and Soon-young to the photo studio to have their photos taken together. She helps Soon-young put on makeup, and the two sisters pose together, smiling through the ache in their hearts. The camera clicks, capturing a moment neither of them will ever forget. Back home, Soon-ja hands Soon-young a brand new phone, the one she had asked her uncle to buy. She tells her softly, "Once I reach America, I'll call you, but you must always wait for my call, okay? International calls are expensive." She then adds, "Take care of Dad. When I make a lot of money, I'll buy you and Dad plane tickets to come to America." Her voice is full of hope, but Soon-young's eyes fill with tears as she doesn't know when she will be able to see her sister again. That night, Soon-young stays up late, practicing English words she barely understands, wanting to learn so that she will be able to converse with her sister in the future. Then, she hears a soft knock at the door. It's Barbie. She steps inside, her face pale and eyes filled with guilt. Standing beside Soon-young, she whispers, "I'm sorry," and begins confessing everything in English, the truth about her father, the real reason for the adoption, the terrible fate that awaits Soon-ja. But Soon-young doesn't understand a single word. She only smiles faintly and says, "Please take care of Soon-ja. It's her first time getting on a plane. Promise me you'll look after her, like your real sister." Her voice trembles, but her eyes are sincere. At that moment, both girls begin to cry, one knowing the cruel truth, the other blissfully unaware. Their tears fall for different reasons, yet their hearts break in the same way. The next morning, the day of departure arrives. Soon-young prepares a huge meal for Soon-ja's farewell, but tears cannot stop rolling down her face. Meanwhile, Mang-taek collects his payment from Steve and counts the thick stack of bills with trembling hands. The guilt flickers in his eyes, but greed quickly wins. Without a second thought, he drives to a car dealership, ready to buy himself a new car, already forgetting about the evil deed he committed. Then, Steve and Barbie arrive to pick up Soon-ja. Before leaving, Soon-ja's father panics, his hands trembling as he grabs her arm. "You'll die if you leave," he says, his voice filled with fear and desperation, as if some instinct inside him knows the danger that awaits. Soon-ja watches silently. "Dad is probably just reluctant to let you go," she whispers, trying to comfort them both, though her own heart aches at the thought of separation. Soon-ja climbs into the car, her face lighting up with excitement as she bounces in her seat. Each moment brings her closer to her American dream, the life she has imagined every night. Soon-ja turns to Barbie, speaking in clear English. "Please, take care of my sister. I will be grateful forever." But Barbie doesn't look up. Instead, she silently hands Soon-young a folded letter before the car drives away. Later, Soon-young opens the letter. Inside, the page is filled with the word "sorry," repeated over and over, 100 times. Her eyes widen as the truth crashes down on her. Suddenly, everything makes sense. Soon-young is not simply leaving for America. There is another, darker purpose behind her departure. Panic surges through Soon-young. She sprints after the car. No matter how fast she runs, the vehicle disappears down the road, leaving only helplessness behind. In the final scene, Soon-young waves an American flag with a bright, carefree smile. To her, the flag represents hope, freedom, and the promise of prosperity, the life she has always dreamed of. But she will never know that life will never truly come.